Hi everybody, Gisele Grenier here. In this video lesson, we're going to create, again, another small piece of art because it's not quick and easy. Well, it's quick, but not really easy. And we're going to, let's see, we're going to, the theme for this is going to be contrast. So think of soft, hard, light, dark, so opposites, so but some contrast. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix a blend of industrial with the softness of nature. So that's going to be the theme for the card. And now I've already prepared a piece. Now there's another video that I did where I show how to create this embossing technique, and I'll link those below. So basically, to get this type of card, what it is, it's an artist trading card, and it's basically just the paper that I embossed. And this particular one is the metallic type from DecoArt. It's the decoupage paper, and I basically just glued it around and used the matte medium to glue it, and then I took some gesso and I just wiped it. Okay, but I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute. And then I'm going to be taking an element that my friend Annie sent me. It's this butterfly. It feels like it's done out of plastic packaging, and then she added some really pretty glitter to it. Then I've got some die cut gears that I've made, and I have a video for that as well, which I'll link below. Got some gears out of some Book of Backgrounds paper, and I've got the paint. So I've got my DecoArt Media Fluid Acrylics Raw Umber and Ultramarine Blue. I've got DecoArt Glamour Dust in Ice Crystal and the Matte Metallics in Charcoal, and of course I've got my Media Gesso and Matte Medium. I've got a little piece of sheer material, and I think that's it. The quote for this is going to be, "When your heart is pure, your mind is clear." I know some of these quotes are kind of woo-woo, but I kind of like it. These are basically just like fortune cookie quotes. All right, so I need that and I need that. So let's take the gesso first. I'm going to get this out of the way. So to make the gears and to learn how to emboss the paper, go to that video for that. But if you don't have anything to emboss it with, just take anything, corrugated cardboard, it doesn't matter, and don't, for God's sakes, don't overthink it. I've got some cheap scrapbook paper here that I'm going to use. Pick the back side that, you know, that really doesn't make a difference. I guess I can just leave that as the back. So I'm going to cover that, and some of the green shows through, but you don't need to worry about that because we're going to be gessoing it. When you fold the paper over, we're going to be covering part of it, or you can just cut the paper. It doesn't really matter because I can put a label on that. So matte medium. Oh, and I left my brushes in the laundry room. Okay, well, too late now. I'm not going downstairs. So I'm just going to apply a layer of matte medium to all areas of the paper. And I think no, that's not, I thought there was paint in there. And then I'm going to put it on the actual cardstock as well. And what this is going to do, is going to give me some extra time to position everything, and it's going to slide a little easier. And it doesn't really matter where, because we're going to obliterate it with gesso. Now, one thing when you use the matte medium, make sure you wash your hands after, because this stuff is so super sticky. And I'm just going to do a simple fold, nothing fancy. If you have the time and the patience to fold each corner, cut the corners and all that stuff, go right ahead. You guys know me by now that I'm more about teaching the technique. That I don't have the patience. I used to have the patience for all the nitty little fiddly stuff. Not anymore. That's why a lot of the prep work I do ahead of time, because it's just, there's so much noise out there and it's hard to focus on something specific. There you go. So I'm going to set that to dry, and then when it's dry, then I'll come back with the gesso and I'll just give a light covering on it, and I'll put that over there. Okay. So with the magic of video, like I said, I already have one done. because it does take a while for that stuff to dry to the point where you can put the gesso on it. So I'm going to show you on the back side. Now you can use a brush or you can use a little kitchen wipe. I'm going to use a kitchen wipe for that because depending on the type of paper you're using, if you use a brush like this and just rub, you may actually tear the paper. Again, I don't know what you're using. So I like using just a little kitchen wipe with the dry gesso. It's dry from the cap. It's like it's almost gritty where it's dried, and just apply it in different layers. Some will be thick, some will be thin. Some the gesso will go right inside the pieces, and some will not. I'll be using the other side, but this is just to show you. The other thing you can do is don't cover up all the areas of the paper, because there's a seam here which I don't care for, but it doesn't really matter. This is just to show you the technique. See, I can leave that open like that. Okay. Now, one thing, because we're doing this on metallic paper, there's always a risk that the paint or whatever will come apart from that metallic. Using the gesso makes it even better. Now, the other thing you can do is on the metallic paper, put a layer of matte medium, let it dry completely, then put the gesso, another layer of matte medium, and then you can put your embellishments on top of that. So that's that. Okay. And then we end up with something like this. So with that now, I like to do a dry fit just so I get an idea of composition wise. Now I did pull the pieces out already, as I showed you in the beginning, just to save some time. So I'm looking at doing, this is where I'm going to lay everything out. Just, I kind of like that. I want that sticking down just a little bit more. Let's bring that out here. No, I'm going to change my mind. I want that showing like that. I think I'm going to do it like that. But then I'm going to take the veil and I'm going to size it and scrunch it, and then put the butterfly on top of the veil so it looks like it's floating. So that's what I'm going to do. And then the quote will go underneath. So a little bit of work needs to be done still. First, I'm going to get a paper towel and blot the back. I could get a heat gun, but it's not going to be necessary. Just to get rid of the excess. Yeah, see, that's not too bad. That actually might be nicer, but yeah, no, we got the seam there. Okay, so for those of you that have taken my color mixing courses, you know what I'm making with the raw umber and the ultramarine blue. And for those of you that don't know, I'm making chromatic black. But I'm using raw umber. I usually use ultramarine blue, burnt sienna. I'm using raw umber because I want it to be more opaque. And get a little brush. And the chromatic black is black made with color. And I have it a little bit on the blue side. And what I'm going to do, wipe the excess, and I'm just going to put a light glaze over that, just a light glaze. And the glaze, what it'll do, it'll still allow some of that texture from the book of background to show through, but we'll have a little bit of extra color. It's not gonna cover everything. And this will also have a matte finish to it, because I'm going to put a little bit of matte medium on top. All right, see? I don't know if you can see that. There we go. All right, that's going to go here. Now for the card, let me just clean that up. I'm going to, so if I'm going to work backwards in concept. Light butterfly on top of that. So I need a dark contrast here, but I also have this as being dark. So that kind of looks pretty light, right? So Well, why don't we actually just glam this up a little bit? Let's leave it as white. Let's leave that as white. Let's see what we have. It's okay. Not a huge fan of it. I was hoping to get a little bit more effect on that. So I'm going to wipe that off. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my original plan. I'm going to put the black charcoal matte metallics on this, then go back with the glamour dust. It's just an experiment. I wasn't sure. Now the matte metallics are, it's not completely matte. I want it to be transparent. So have a baby wipe handy, which I don't. Put that right, whoops, cover that right up. I'm just going to blot, 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 turn it around, blot, blot, blot. And so it just gives a very mottled effect. Like that. I can choose to take off a few pieces. Don't want it to be too much because I want the contrast in there. So remember, we're working backwards. Light butterfly, dark underneath. You need light to show dark and you need dark to show light. All right, so that takes care of that. So this is another great way to really show contrasting values in your pieces. I'm going to dry that with the heat gun. Then I'm going to come back with the glamour dust and put a layer on that. Now it should be relatively transparent. I'm also going to put a little bit of the, actually I can do that right now, a little bit of the matte metallics right on top of here, just a little bit where the gears are still a little bit light. Let's just do this whole one dark and we'll see what happens with that one. Put a bit more blue. I don't want it to be too light. There we go. All right, I'm gonna hit that with the heat gun. I'm gonna come back with the glamour dust. The other thing you can do is put a pearlescent paint or medium on top. Okay, and then I can take the paper towel and think of where the butterfly is gonna go. Yeah, I'm just going to just remove a little bit of that right there on the edges. So you're going to have some matte metallic showing through. Then you have a little bit of the extra shimmer underneath. So it'll look like almost like one of those fairy dust type of things. I'm going to dry that again. Okay, so that's what, I don't know if you can see. There you go, just a little bit. Alrighty, so now let's glue the gears down. So see, they still stick out, but it's just subtle. It's just in the background. And then we'll have the fabric. And then look how much that just pops. Look how that just pops. We already have the gears back there, so that's why I wasn't too worried. So, but you could always turn it to something else if you wanted to, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. I liked how they're a little bit darker than the background. And to matte medium, to glue them down, I mean, you can use matte medium, you can use heavy gloss. Oh, the gel medium would be nice. And I'm going to take Q-tips, or cotton swabs, I should say. I got to stop doing that. These are the one from Grip Tools, with the extra long handle. Now, because there's going to be the butterflies on top, I don't need to worry about it coming out from the sides, but this is going to be oh, come on, my brain is rented today. It's going to be covered up with the sheer material. And don't do this over your artwork. I am, just because I'm trying to stay in camera view. Just slightly overlapped. Oh, you know what would have been cool? Oh, I'm going to save it for another video to actually put embossing powder on these. Now that one I'm just going to put down and not touch it because I have to position it. So I'm looking at having the butterfly. Oh, he lost an antenna. Oh, right there, little guy. Oh, crap. All right. I need to bring this out just a little bit more. And bring this down a little bit more. So composition-wise, although the piece, if the piece was by itself, really the focal point, if you divide something into thirds and each corner is where you put your focal point, because that's where the eye will go. But because this is so small, the focal point is going to be right in the middle. So it's going to be like that. But I'm going to have to glue his little antenna on there. That medium, let's steal some from here. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to stay. I'll have to probably glue it after the fact. Poor little guy. Maybe I should just take it off altogether. I don't know. We'll see. So now I can press that down. Whoopsie. Now, if you've got time, what you can do is put wax paper on it, put a book on top of it. What's happening is, because my fingers are sticky, that's what's pulling everything up. So you can take some wax paper and just push like that. And then you can let it sit overnight to dry. Now I'm going to take that sheer material and I need to figure out how I want to position it. So I need to cut it right there. I'm thinking right about there. And then the butterfly is going to go on top. So I need to make this scrunchy. Now I can use fabric, like the thick fabric material. I'm going to get, oh, where did it go? Come, oh, there it is. I'm going to use the heavy gel medium for that because it does stay relatively thick. I'm going to use a fresh cotton swab. And the butterfly is going to go right there, so I'm going to put the material right here. So I'm using that heavy gel medium as a glue. And where it's going, it's covering up all three of the gears, so they're not going to move. A little bit here, a little bit there. Nice and thick. And I'll take my sheer material. Now I can put it where it's folded this way or have it upwards. I'm going to do it this way. Take that right there. And just push down just ever so gently. And this part does take a little bit of patience. Is you're going, because fabric has a mind of its own. What you're going to do is you're going to have to wait until it gets tacky enough that it doesn't move anymore. Then the butterfly can get glued down. And I'm just going to go here. This one here's got a kink in the fabric and it wants to fight, but I'm going to put more of the medium on top and it'll hold still. This is going to dry transparent. And the amount I'm putting on there with the temperature, just because it's cold, it'll probably take a day. So I'm just going to sit there and I got to look. I'm going to look and look and look to see. I need to, I don't know if you can see that. So I need to build up a little bit more texture in there. So I'm going to put it right on the butterfly. This is going to look so beautiful. I want to thank Annie for sending me this little guy. I'm sorry I broke him. I can feel it right now. It's made good contact. So now, tweezers. I'm gonna go right into the medium. I don't know if I'll be able to salvage that. Tweezers are sticky. There, we go. We'll see. I'm just going to put a little bit of the gel medium on his head. That way it doesn't look like so much that it was fixed. Put a little bit on his body. It's going to be transparent, so it'll actually just look like it was meant to be. So I'm just incorporating where I fixed them to other parts of the body, so it looks intentional. Just blending in that mistake, his broken wing or broken antenna. I'm just gonna put a little bit more on the edges. Like I said, these will all dry transparent, so it won't affect the finished piece. And because the butterfly is the focal point, it's fine. There we go. I got right along the body on his head. And that should work. I hope it works. I hope it works. If I had the patience, I could take this and just go right along the antenna. Oh, God, that's so small. Well, I'll have to see what happens. And I say if I'm going to have the patience, and what am I doing? I keep on working at it. All right. Okay, so now I'm going to put this aside, and I'm going to let this dry for about a day, and then when we come back, we'll see what it looks like. You know what I forgot? We got to put the quote in there. So I was going to put the quote right on top of the sheer material, or put it underneath. I'm going to put it underneath. And what I'm going to do as well is use that cloth, and I'm just going to darken the edges just a little bit. This is canvas paper, so the edges do show a bit of fraying. I'm also going to have to move the camera because I think I was off camera there. And I'm trying to go inside the quote roughly, not as a perfect, see, like that. There we go. I'm going to use the leftover, put a little bit more on there. Just going to rotate that around. Just a bit more on the right side of the card. Just going to press ever so gently just so it makes contact. And that's it. Now when we come back, it'll be about a day, then I'll show you what it looks like. So there we go. We're all finished. Now it still hasn't, it's been only about 6 hours. It still hasn't quite, where you can see, it still hasn't quite dried yet, translucent underneath. There's a little bit of white there. There you go, you can see it there. But it's pretty hard, and I'm loving that. The only thing really left to do, which is completely optional, is to finish the edges. Now you can do this with paint, but it's a lot easier and cleaner right now just to do it with ink. So I'm just using black ink, and this is the distress ink. Now, problem with this stuff here, it's not waterproof. So you have to make sure you keep that in mind when choosing what type of material that you want to finish your edges. You can even put a little bit in the corners to, you know, contain it. Hopefully I wasn't off camera too bad there. Like that. There we go. All finished. So I hope that you enjoyed this. And now if you're watching this on YouTube, head on over to the Facebook group because that's where all the action is. Post a picture of your take on this project. And don't worry if you don't have the exact same supplies. Improvise and do your own thing. Post a picture in the comments below and let me know what you think in the Facebook group, and let me know what you think. And if you had problems, or if you have any questions, post some specific feedback that you're looking for, like were you looking for help with composition or color, or if you just want, you know, if you just want to say, hey, like here's my piece, I did my own take, what do you think? That type of thing. All right. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. See, specific feedback, and to clean up and get ready for the next lesson. Until then, stay inspired.